Hello, Tone.
Hello, Kenny.
Wonderful times, as always.
Pennant fever?
You scared the bejesus out of me before the game.
How's that?
I'm not trying to blame you for anything, by the way, but I'm just saying you scared me because you're like, how catastrophic is this if they lose? I go, catastrophic? And you're like, well, yeah. And it was almost like you broke news for me how big the game was last night.
Yeah, that if they lost the game yesterday, that it's a really easy scenario to see them missing everything. Like, that's how big of a game last night was. And I kept talking about all day yesterday, like how insanely improbable it is to even be in this position to where still every game is life or death. They had to go, it was 16 of 19, now it's 17 of 20, but they had to be 16 of 19 to even put themselves in position to where yesterday was a life or death scenario. And the fans that showed up to that game yesterday, I mean, everybody to a man said it was a playoff atmosphere because everybody knew. Everybody knew how big of a game that game was.
Well, the presentation was outstanding. The presentation on TV, the rally for October and things like that, I thought that was really well done. So I thought that they created an atmosphere that pushed it towards the postseason or pushed people to know what was at stake. So I thought that was good. They did that on the fly. But the presentation in the game was great. The sixth inning and what happened in the sixth inning, everything that happened to it, I don't want to. It doesn't make light of what happened to David Fry, but I do think that Tarek Skubal was affected by what had happened in that game. I mean, you never see history like that. You have a balk and things like that, which I don't even know how to call a balk. I wouldn't know if anybody knows how to call a balk. Really, what is a balk? But you had that in the sixth inning. I mean, it was incredibly wild. I want to get the Stephen vote here about David Fry getting hit in the face. This is Stephen post game on David Fry.
We're glad he's okay, but obviously it's a really scary moment. You see it right away, and then right as I got out there, I saw what I saw, so I just told him keep laying down, and I'm not a medical guy, so just make sure you stay down, and then obviously trainers were right there.
So there's Stephen vote on David Fry. Obviously scary for everybody who watched. I saw the Tom Withers tweet that he said that Tarek Skubal had reached out to him. It seemed that Skubal was not the same afterwards. So I think for the Tigers,
looking back, they probably wish they would have pulled him.
They probably wish they would have.
but what are they going to do? Are they going to ask him, have you been psychologically damaged by the events that have transpired? Like, you can't really do that. So Hinch just believed in him because he's a Cy Young Award winner who's been nails for the better part of how many years now?
I think it's difficult.
And then he goes and has just an erratic, all-time bizarre inning that we take advantage of, sending guys to the plate bunting. Was it 3 straight guys we sent to the plate as the bunting brigade?
Well, it's almost impossible to gauge. It's almost impossible to gauge because if you're a professional baseball player. So if you go out there and you go, if you immediately go out there and pull him, if you ask him, he's going to want to pitch still. But I don't know if I'm going to put anything in that category at all. I mean, you wouldn't want to wish that on your worst enemy. I'm glad that Tarek Skubal cared so much. I mean, I know that he had gained a reputation last year because of how he interprets crowds, how he interprets opposing teams, that type of thing. I know that some people really hated him for that. I really think that obviously he shows his humanity here, and obviously we hope that everything is okay. Will be okay with David Fry over time. He's obviously going to have to do some healing there. So any updates we have throughout the morning on David Fry will get you, but it seems that hopefully he'll pull through, be fine, and I don't know how soon he'll be back, if ever in 2025.
Yeah, I don't know. If it's, it's like you're sitting here hoping it's just a broken nose or something like that, but like you get into the orbital area and then, so that the whole place went from deafening. The crowd was so crazed yesterday. It felt like an October game that mattered. It felt like it could have been like an ALCS game. I know it wasn't a sellout, but I mean, how many fans ended up going? I know that like half hour before the game, they're like, oh, there's going to be like 27,000 fans here. It's a huge walk-up. We talked over the last few days what kind of a walk-up crowd they could actually end up getting, and the fans did their part. They were a big part of that, and then all of a sudden, after that pitch, it was silent. It was crazy. It was eerie, to be honest.
But I thought it felt like the whole evening felt like the playoffs. It feels like the playoffs now. Somebody said, "Well, we're not in the play." I actually got an asked email about it, and I go, "Well, no, you're in the postseason now." Because everything matters. You have the tiebreaker with them now, so you are technically on top of the division as of this morning. So it's been a 15-game collapse. We are paying attention to what's going on in other stations right now. I don't want to push anybody to another station. I want you guys to listen to us. But I think they're probably having a meltdown, our coworkers up there on the other side of the lake. So we'll be paying attention to some of the stuff that they say. For this, and it being the postseason, I think that credit is given. I think it's already been a remarkable run, which means it's a remarkable season. Now that we actually feel it, now that we actually see it, experience it. For Stephen Vogt, I think that this is one of the... this is more impressive than last year. What this team has done.
If they get in. If they pull this off.
I actually don't know. I actually don't think so. I think that this is more impressive of a job by him than what it was last year. You added last year. This year, Shane Bieber, you send him, and I know that he's not the same Shane Bieber we knew of 2 years ago. But Shane Bieber, you send him. He's still a Cy Young winner. I don't care if it was a 60-game season. That sends a message to the rest of Major League Baseball, and it sends a message to your fan base. Santana, you let go of for nothing because nobody would really give you anything for him. And then he goes and signs with the Cubs. So that's a prevailing thought at the time of you're giving him his chance to go play for a contender. You don't think you're a contender anymore. You let him go play for a contender. And then to have this run, yes, it takes the help of the Tigers to lose games, but you've still taken 4 of those games during that time. Maybe even more, but I think they've only played them 4 times. You've taken 4 of those games from the Tigers yourself. That I think that this is a remarkable achievement.
He beat Skubal twice
2 times.
In 5 days.
2 times. So to get them rallied and playing, because, hey, the Tigers could have imploded. It didn't mean that you had to win your games. The Tigers could just be playing some bad baseball right now, and you could still be bad, and it is what it is. To get them to play to that level, like you came out strong last year. What was the record after the All-Star break last year? Because it was...
Well, it's kind of pedestrian, right?
Yeah, and this one's been different. August and September have been different for this club, and I think that this is, to me... He ain't going to win Manager of the Year this year. He won Manager of the Year last year. I think this is the more impressive job by Stephen Vogt. That's my thoughts. So, even if they don't make the postseason, I'm more impressed by this.
It's going to be hard because if they don't make it, man, that the day after, it's just going to be back to every stupid argument that we get into all season. I'll have it, but that we've already had, countless times.
I'm not going to be overly sensitive towards those arguments. I'm not going to shout.
They'll be just like, hey, welcome back to a show we had in July. We're just going to go back to the same show.
I guess we're just going to have to deal with it because that's the way that baseball is talked about in most cities in America. Unless you're in New York,
which is why it doesn't get talked about as much as it used to.
Because it's just it's a end-all, be-all. Do you spend the money? Do you not spend the money?
What's so funny is you think about that inning, and I joked about the bunting brigade of that inning. Skubal has beaten so many big payrolls this year that, ironically, this is how you get to him. You have to have like a comedy of errors, weird event. Obviously, the Fry thing, nothing to joke about. But overall, that entire approach at the plate is how you end up beating them.
Before the Fry thing, he long snapped a baseball into right field. And that's the first time that I was like, whoa, what is
he's not
this guy doing?
He's
the best pitcher in baseball. Why are you doing these things?
It's almost got to be like a death by 1,000 bizarre cuts to even get to that guy. And now you wonder, if you end up seeing them in the playoffs, which absolutely could happen. You end up seeing him in the playoffs. Like, do you have a mental edge over that guy in general, dating back to last year and what happened, dating back to beating him 2 times, I guess technically 6 days, at the end of the season where they need these games desperately, and you need these games desperately.
He's also going to have to pitch again this weekend to help get them into the playoffs.
Well, so that was part of it
Sunday. And then he's
going
to have to pitch again next week against you if you guys end up playing each other.
Well, that was part of the calculus, I think, on both the courts. Both managers had to keep thinking, if their season comes down to Sunday, what that is going to be like. in terms of a pitch count, and that's why I'm sure today in Detroit, and all we do in baseball is, did it work, did it not work? Well, they should have done the thing that would have worked maybe, but they're going to be wondering if they should have pulled him. Because he was at 81 pitches, I think, at that stage, and it's like, you're going to go to your bullpen that has blown up? So maybe there's probably not a good answer for Detroit. Meanwhile, we're thinking the same thing. Gavin Williams is just, I want to make sure we mention his performance. You could make the argument like he outpitched Skubal. I know that they had the lead, but neither lineup was getting hard hits yesterday. And Gavin Williams, he was the guy that almost had the no-hitter, but was this his biggest and best performance of his career yesterday, all things considered, when you think about who he's going up against, too?
Yeah, again, I think that goes to stand about then I'm going to make the argument for vote again on that, because last year were the accolades. The near no-hitter was the big thing that people across the country might remember if they're fantasy baseball play. I don't know if people pay attention to near no-hitters in the country. Like, I'm sure somebody else has got close this year.
It was not a primetime game.
But this was a bigger performance for him.
So many more people were watching.
Yes, this is a bigger performance. The pressure's on to be able to do that. This is the bigger performance. So, yeah, he's got guys playing to their very best potential at the very best time possible. And I think it's a remarkable job to get back to be even close to the race. I think is a remarkable job, but to get back to it.
But will it be remembered if they don't pull it off? Because you're saying you put the vote. So that's why it's hard for me to agree with you.
Nationally or in Cleveland?
Well, since I'm making a big deal, about it, I'm going to remember it because I'm making a big deal about it.
But they could. But hold on. If they cough this up now, because today they are. If the season ended today, not only are they in the playoffs, they've won the division because they have the tiebreaker. If they fall out of everything, which is totally in play, I know it's hard for us to envision that given the good vibes.
Games, I give you the cough it up thing. It was 15 and a half games.
True.
15 and a half games is not a cough up. To even us having this conversation right now, they've done what they were supposed to do.
Exactly. That's why I think it will be. Well,
but so how will it be remembered compared to if they do it versus if they just miss I know there's three different possibilities, right? They could win the division.
Well, if they do
could
it,
just
hold on.
They could win the division, they could win the wild card, or they could miss everything completely, and that's all in play over the course of the next how many days? That's crazy that we're even in this situation.
If they make the postseason, and certainly if they win the division, then I almost there needs to be an asterisk next to the new pennant of what they had to do.
Yes. Yeah, I love that.
There's a conversation there. Usually an asterisk is a bad thing. This would be a good thing. Maybe a star. Something to signify the comeback. That's a free idea over there to the folks at Progressive. To the, what do they call them, the golf shirt mafia or whatever it is, the polo mafia. If they don't make it, I'm making such a big deal about it, I'll remember. Now, I don't know if a lot of people around me will. Lima will forget on purpose, but I'll remember. Because I think it's one of the best coaching jobs I think we've ever seen. I think it's one of the best leadership jobs I think we've ever seen in the city. Whether it be Stephen Vogt and Jose Ramirez, if you want to put him into that category, dragging everybody along. Mitch wants to make a big deal about Jose Ramirez and apparently three people as raccoons underneath a trench coat. I don't know where that comes from, but either way.
But this is not about the offense and what the offense did over this stretch. This is about the six-man rotation. And whoever made the call, I feel like it's Stephen Vogt. I've had people online tell me, no, this was a front office thing. Stephen Vogt's the one that makes the lineup every day.
Yeah, I agree with you.
It's about the six-man rotation. When they went to the six-man rotation, and I feel like it was all set up for that doubleheader that was on Saturday that was masterful. They didn't even use the bullpen that day, and they outscored the Twins 20-0, right? Like, it all comes off of that decision to make the change when he made it and not just wait for the day to do it has put them in this position right now.
Well, I didn't plan for this. They've given up
2 runs a game for like over the stretch.
I didn't plan for this, but I think we got to talk about it now. 216-474-0092. I want to get to everybody here. Is this remarkable even without making the postseason? Because to come back from 15 games, yes, you need a team to lose it, but you got to go out and win those games. And they were left for dead by just about everybody about a month and a half ago. Guardians won last night 5-2, and an improbable 6th inning led to then a later surge and the Guardians were able to win the game 5-2 after being down 2-0. And I didn't realize how big the game. I'm not trying to go after you here. I didn't realize the stakes of yesterday's game until you told me in the afternoon. That was wild. Absolutely wild. 216-474-0092. The run has been improbable. I said it's still special even if they don't make the postseason. I got pushback from you. I'm getting major pushback from our boss, who said, which the reasoning, I don't know. I don't want to take anybody out of context and end up in a meeting. I remember the collapse, not even a collapse, but like when they got close and Grady Sizemore lost the ball in the sun. I remember bringing that up yesterday. Owen even remembers that. Owen was just getting ready to move here. That was a long time ago, but Owen knows the history. And that's a guy who's not even technically from here who knows that. The runs that they have, if they make the postseason, yes, great. If they win the division, obviously, yes, great. And because it's so remarkable, yeah, there should be, I hope there's some sort of special designation with this run to win the division compared to other runs because of what they were able to do in the latter half of the season. But I think it is a testament to how they are. And if I'm the one who remembers it and I'm the one who keeps making a big deal about it in the future, then I'll be the one who keeps making a big damn deal about it in the future. I'd like to think that a lot of people listen to this show, so hopefully it'll be a bigger deal than what some people want to think it is.
So what number is the most impressive to you about all of this? Is it the one that's historic, which is the 15.5 games back on July 8th? Or is it that they were 10.5 games on September 1st, or
probably that
9.5 games on September 10th?
The 10,
that is insanity.
The 15 is the big number. The 15 is the big number. When was the 15.5? You said
on July 8th.
I mean, that's a huge number,
and that was after being swept by the Tigers the series before that.
Because I admitted to him,
so they went to a new series and they didn't gain any ground on them.
I had to tell Owen, like, I stopped paying attention to the division. It was only the wild card.
Everyone
Our
did.
arguments, you were the only one.
The only person in town that paid attention to the division.
I didn't even pay attention to the division because I'm like, well, the division's done. It was, can we get into the wild card? And so I just paid attention to the wild card for a while. So when it got to 9, I didn't even notice when it got to 9. When it got to 5.5, when it got to 6, that's when Owen was like, hey, are you paying attention to this? I go, no, I'm only paying attention to the wild card. I see that we're 2.5 games back of the wild card. Well, it's like, well, you got to pay attention to the division, and they're playing the Tigers. And I'm figuring, well, my whole thought the whole time, Rays, Jays, Red
Rangers
Sox,
were part of that.
Rangers, Astros, like those were the teams that I was thinking about. I was not thinking about the Detroit Tigers.
Do you hear how many teams that is, though? That's a ton of teams that they had to
Yes.
dump. The Royals were part of that.
the
Royals were ahead of them forever.
The Royals were ahead of them, that's right.
They took the Royals out 3 weeks ago. They had a 4-game set with them, and they just took them out of the playoff chase. They killed their season then. They've done a lot of season killing since the mid-July mark.
216-474-0092. Kyle in Olmsted Township, you're first up on the Fan.
Hey, guys. Just want to go back to your point earlier. You had mentioned that if this season would be memorable or not. I think if it's just a domino effect based off of, we had to deal with Class A and Ortiz getting popped, which are two. Well, one, Class A, we know what he can do, and Ortiz was a big acquisition. That's why we moved on with Jimenez and all those guys. And then back to your point, 15.5, 10.5 between the wild card and the Central. I think this might be, I don't know if as impressive as last year. I think different circumstances, but I think it's right there with it.
Well, making the postseason is always going to be, and winning the division while making the postseason and doing it in such a fashion is going to be very impressive. So as of right now, the more impressive thing, I think, for a lot of folks is going to be that. Now, I make the argument, Kyle, and Kyle, thank you for the call. I make the argument of knowing everything that we know about with Luis Ortiz, with the trades that they had to make, the dead weight that they cut. Because Santana's a nice enough player, and he's been here 3 times. It was dead weight. But there's
he's been
a message.
Even worse. He's been even worse since he got traded.
There's a message you send that this year ain't going to be our year, and hopefully we'll get back on track next year. There was a point where I'm sitting there worried about the rotation and going, hey, maybe I've just become accustomed to them building pitchers, and maybe I'm taking it for granted that they built pitchers over the last 20 years. Like right now, or at the time we were saying it, like, but man, these guys are struggling. You had Tanner Bybee and Gavin Williams. These guys are struggling.
How many times did we discuss over the last 2 months, do they have an ace? Who's the ace?
Yeah.
Where's the ace at? And I still don't know that they have a true, that's the guy. But, I mean, they've all taken their turn being the guy for this
Guys,
3 weeks.
It's been, with no margin for error, 18 straight starts, 2 or less runs. I mean, I've never heard of anything like that. I'm sure it's not historic because they've been playing baseball for so long, and we're different eras. But with everything on the line, with them needing basically every series, we know they need basically every series. They need almost every game. And to pitch like that, knowing, and then they go to the 6-man rotation, and it doesn't disrupt the rhythm. I know they had the doubleheader that they had to worry about, but all of this is focusing on putting them in position now. And now they just got to finish the deal. And they're in great position now. They just got to finish the deal now.
Mike in Akron, you're next up on the Fan. Hello, Mike.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call.
Glad to have you.
So I would say that last year we're in ALCS. So anything below that, I think, would not be a successful season. I understand the 15 and a half games behind. I think it's an awesome run. But once again, we're giving credence to a low-budget, fiscal responsibility team that keeps sucking us in every year. And then in the off season, the cream rises to crop in the playoffs. And what do we have? We'll have a Judge moment. We'll have a Stanton moment. Soto last year. And once again, this team is not set up to win a championship ever.
Well,
and
but
then
when are they? But Mike, when are they ever going to be in the same category until there's a cap and a floor? When are they ever going to be in the same category as a Judge
we're
moment?
never competing for a championship.
Then what's the point of ever talking about the sports? Then should I just talk Browns then for the rest of my life? Only Browns?
At least the Browns attempt to win championships. They go out there in free agency and spend money and make moves.
Get nowhere near it.
That's how you win in football, spending in free agency.
Man, Mike, thank you for the call.
Spending on guys past their prime in free agency, that's a winning model.
I know I've made that argument before about them. Hey, if I say anything about them, they do go for the gusto. They go for the gusto and completely fail. But if we are just waiting for the other shoe to drop, then we might as well all pack it in and just go stare at a wall for the rest of our lives.
That didn't seem to matter to the people, the almost 30,000 that were there last night, who treated it like a playoff game. Imagine if they watched it like him, the place would have sucked.
So
they probably wouldn't have won the game. If they had a stadium full of guys like that last caller, thinking in the sixth inning, what about the payroll? Then they probably would have lost, and they probably would have packed it in months ago. Thank God they don't have to listen to guys like that every day. Thank God they have real fans who aren't going World Series or bust every year. How many teams? He's asking, are teams even built for the playoffs? All right, well, so there's 5 teams that are built to win in the playoffs. Great. That's what makes what the Guardians do year in and year out even that much more special when it comes to just looking at their team and thinking about those players. You think Stephen Kwan was thinking about the payroll last night? You think Jose Ramirez was thinking about the payroll last night? They were thinking about making history, which is why we're excited today, except for that guy.
You can't... I can't go through life just waiting for everything to just fall apart. I mean, there are constraints that the Guardians have that the Yankees and Mets don't seem to have, that the Dodgers obviously don't seem to have. The White Sox, if they ever get their head out of their ass, they probably wouldn't have those either. But still, that's a different conversation. We're just glad that they're terribly run. I could sit there and wait for the other shoe to drop with the Cavs because that's what the way that people are going to be like for the whole regular season is. What does it all matter? Even do we get to the postseason, I'm going to be annoyed by that thought. With the Browns, yeah, man, the Browns go for it. And now here we are after this quarterback that one of us in the room actually wanted. I didn't want the guy. And now we're sitting here ready to cuss out the team if they even put the guy in. Hey, man, I got to give credit where it's due. And I could separate the owner, who, has been a bit of a tight ass.
I can't even believe we're letting credence to this today, Kenny. This is not the time. It's not the time. We're not going to let that guy ambush and hijack the show because he wants to talk about a topic from July. I'm pretty excited about how the team did last night. I wasn't thinking payroll. Sorry. Maybe I'm not watching baseball the same way that all the smart fans are.
You were still the same guy who didn't want to have this discussion when the season ends because you said you were already annoyed.
Yeah, because we've had it 1,000 times.
But you know
it's
that
boring.
There's going to be more than just Mike who call in with that.
People don't want to hear that guy bitch about payroll when we are in the midst of making history. I'm sorry. I can't imagine the majority of fans want to hear guys like that.
That's a fair point. Like I said before, the NFL tries to offer everything to everybody. something for everybody. So it's once a week. It's very easy to follow the NFL to some degree. Like, they don't got to follow it the way we do. They don't need to get in the nitty gritty with it with average depth of target or anything like that, which was something you want to get into later on. Not today, maybe, but tomorrow or Friday. We'll see how today goes. Basketball, there is a general player following. Baseball can be different. Baseball, it's definitely, it's got a different type of feel to it. Its fan base the hard fans have a different type of fan base to them. And Lima got upset with the last caller. I do think, sadly, there's more of the last caller than we want to admit, you and I. But it's also, you mentioned something before the show, and it was, are the haters willing to admit that they're fans yet? Are they jumping on board yet? And I think there's times where, during a baseball season, it's like any relationship with a person. There's times where with even our bestest friends, we've hated them, and we said we're never talking to that SOB ever again. And then things change because you cool off and you move about your life together. With the Guardians, baseball moves like life. You're 15 games back in the division. It was a great year last year. There were a lot of people who were mad. They were moving on. There is, though, something to this where those fans jump back in, and then there's gatekeeping, because there are people who, no matter what, they're Guardians fans, and they're Guardians fans first. And so there's a little bit of gatekeeping going on, which is only natural. Only natural, by the way. But you asked, are the haters willing to jump aboard? I think there's...
And to open it up and have fun.
I know you don't want to give them air.
To not deprive themselves of the electricity this area, this region is feeling after a game like last night. You cannot deny me. Drew Carey was back yesterday. People are wanting to have the celebrity drummer again each and every game like it's the playoffs. Like, everybody is feeling united in this once again. We look for these moments in our country when we can have people come together again. And right now, Cleveland fans have come together, and I can't imagine wanting to deprive anybody of that excitement that we were feeling last night.
So I agree with you. I agree with you. But I think that you must prepare yourself, because for the last 78 years, it hasn't gone our way. So if it doesn't go our way, we're going to get a lot of calls like that. Now, we can decide to not take calls like that.
What, you mean win the World Series?
Yes.
Yeah, it's probably not. Guys are probably not going to win the World Series. But I'm not going to allow that thought and thinking of how I'm going to feel in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. I'm not going to allow that to permeate today. That's just such a weird... We have so few in life. We want to get excited about things. I'm not thinking on the day my child is birthed. I'm not thinking about the day I'm going to die. Like, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to celebrate the day that is awesome. I'm not going to think about all the mess in politics and the economy. Who's doing that? Like, you can't deprive yourself in life of the awesomeness. And last night was awesome.
It was.
So how could anybody call up today and not say anything else other than awesome?
Because there's folks who want, and you and I are on the same page. You're the one getting loud. I'm just agreeing with you. There's a lot of people, more than you want to admit, or I want to admit, that want to teach the owner some lesson that he's not going to learn. That is, by the way, not going to be standing up. When your team comes back from 15 back, that's not a lesson that anybody needs to learn. I mean, that's an improbable thing, true. But when your team makes such an historic comeback, that's something that's not a lesson learned to the ownership. So you have to be able to separate that and move